How are you all doing? I hope you can hear me loud and clear. I hope you can hear me loud and clear. If you can hear me, just say I can hear you. Again, I'm happy to have everybody on the show. Thank you so much for joining. We have been talking series recently about a couple of things. For the last 3 episodes, we've been talking about meeting yourselves without fear. We have also talked about identity beyond achievement. We also talked about learning yourself honestly. And my hope is that I hope you've learned one or two things in our series of conversations. I hope you've gained a lot. And I really hope that what we have talked about, you have been able to apply them into your life, because that's actually the goal, that you are learning to achieve, you are learning to observe yourself honestly. You are learning to identify yourself outside of achievement, and just critical self-awareness through self-reflection. I really hope that you are doing those things. And in the next coming episodes, we want to touch some major topics. We want to talk war in the mind, the silent war in the mind, and of course, that's the episode for today. We also want to talk about overcoming the inner voice of inadequacy. Overcoming the inner voice of inadequacy. We also want to talk about unlearning what hurts you. Unlearning what hurts you. Many of us, even unknown to us, we are being hurt by certain events, certain experiences, maybe hurt as a result of action or inactions, maybe hurt as a result of what somebody did to you or what somebody did not do. All right, some of us, we are nursing certain words. So basically, we want to talk about how you can unlearn what hurts you. And finally, in this series, we want to talk about breaking free from limiting self-image. How you can break free from limiting self-image. But majorly today we'll be talking about the silent war in the mind. The silent war in the mind. I really hope you are going to enjoy this conversation. Please, if you do, leave your comment, drop a like, and I would be excited to further this conversation with you. So the silent war in the mind. I thought about it. How what would be the best approach or best way to enter into this conversation? And I thought about it. The war in the mind, I divided into 3 categories, and I'm going to talk about those categories in this conversation. But you see, many of the battles in our lives don't happen on the outside. Of course, maybe some of us will fight outside battles, but many of the battles you fight are not battles let me use this phrase from the scripture, that they are not flesh and blood. Okay, so many of the battles you fight are not flesh and blood. They happen quietly in your mind. So you fight mind battles, you fight mind warfare. All right, I don't want to term it spiritual warfare. Of course, it's spiritual warfare, but I want to say it's a kind of battle that resides at the level of the mind. It's a mind game, a mind battle, a mind warfare. I hope you understand what I'm saying. See, the silent war of the mind is not loud. It doesn't shout stop. It is not loud. It doesn't always shout stop, but it whispers wait. It whispers be careful, or it whispers not yet. Many a times when we are in between making certain decisions in our life, we often don't outrightly hear wait or don't do it. It's actually a battle or a conversation between when should I do it or when should I not do it. And in warfare, in fighting any battle, timing is very important. Timing is very important. In fact, timing is the key. All right. So today I want to look at three common battlefields in the mind. Three common warfare in the mind. I really hope that my explanation will bring us to a junction whereby we understand these things and we understand how to properly navigate these things. Number one will be self-doubt. Number two will be perfectionism. And number three would be fear of failure. Let me say that again. I'll be looking at self-doubt, perfectionism, and fear of failure. Now, our conversation again today is not about fixing yourself. It's about understanding what is happening inside of you. It's about identifying. You remember that our entire conversation is recognizing these things, being aware of certain things that are already happening to you. So I want you to understand that this is not first about fixing yourself. It's about understanding what is happening inside of you so that you can respond differently. Many of us, we don't understand what is happening in the mind, so we respond haphazardly. We respond with strategies that are not facts, are baseless. Basically, because we really do not understand what is happening in our minds. So let's talk about self-doubt. Let's take some few minutes to talk about self-doubt. What is self-doubt? Self-doubt is not the lack of confidence. Again, I love the illustration Pastor Dolakwa used to explain belief, unbelief, doubt, and disbelief. Self-doubt, doubt, belief, and unbelief. All right. So self-doubt is not about a lack of confidence. It's actually about uncertainty. That is, you are not certain about what you are choosing, whether it is right or wrong. It's not a question about whether it's not a question of you are not confident to take up this matter. It's actually a question of, is this right or wrong? So that is self-doubt. Self-doubt, it's about questioning your decisions. Self-doubt is about a delay in commitment. Self-doubt is when you keep visiting the same choices. That is self-doubt. Again, I really don't want you to misunderstand this. That when you are questioning the decisions, okay, let me make maybe an example. You are questioning your decision about going to school. Okay, now self-doubt in itself may not be outrightly wrong, because you have to have this inquisitive mind to really find out whether certain things are true or not. But when you do not, or when you dwell so much on self-doubt, then you are missing out. So self-doubt doesn't stop you from thinking. It actually stops you from doing. Excuse me. If you are getting this, I would love you to put that in the comments. That self-doubt does not stop you from thinking. It actually stops you from moving. It stops you from doing certain things. You become overly critical. You overanalyze certain matters. Junctions in life where you need to take prompt decisions, you overthink without making quick decisions. And you remember, I said it earlier, that in the battlefield of the mind, in the game of the mind, timing matters. Now, let's talk about briefly how self-doubt shows up quietly. How self-doubt shows up quietly. I already mentioned some examples earlier. Number one is through over-researching. All right, I guess some of you call it research. Okay, So when you find yourself over researching, that means you're already doubting certain things, or probably you're already doubting yourself. Number two, constantly seeking reassurance. Constantly seeking reassurance, whether about yourself or about what you are doing. You have a problem that I cited in the last conversation about external validations. Again, external validations are not wrong, but if they become your intrinsic, they become your source of your self-worth, then there's something wrong. When you begin to revisit all decisions mentally, then you are battling with self-doubt. When you are asking what if instead of what now, then you are battling with self-doubt. You see, many people call self-doubt being careful. All right, they would say, I'm just being careful not to make wrong decisions. And you see, there is actually a thin line between, being careful and self-doubt. But many people find themselves spending a lot of time being careful instead of taking the bull by the horn. And sometimes it's actually fear wearing intelligence. All right. When people say they are being careful, they are actually afraid. Another thing I want to talk about is, how do you respond to self-doubt? I am assuming that my audio is lagging. I really don't know why. I guess maybe I'll have to go back to the infrastructure I'm using before. Okay, so but I can see from here that the system is, and I'm just using my direct phone, so I shouldn't be experiencing this. Okay, so let's go on. So how do you respond to self-doubt? How do you respond to self-doubt? How do you respond to self-doubt? See, instead of asking what if this is wrong, instead of asking what if I am making the wrong decisions, ask what information do I actually need to move one step. Let me say this, that the root of self-doubt is lack of knowledge. So instead of making life decisions based on limited knowledge, why not ask yourself, what more information, or what information do I need more to be able to make this movement or make this decision? Now, this is very important. Again, we are looking at how do you respond to self-doubt. And one way to respond to self-doubt is to ask the right questions. I hope you can tell somebody, ask the right questions. Ask the right questions. Ask the right questions. Very important to your advancement in life. So it is important that you separate thinking from deciding. Set a time limit for reflection. Don't overwear yourself on thinking about decisions, because decisions are meant to be decided. Thoughts are meant, or thinking are meant to be taught. I don't know how best to put this. All right. So when you properly think about certain things and you reach a junction to decide. It is important that you learn to make small, reversible decisions. You see, I used to tell myself this, that it is easier for you to make a U-turn when you are in motion. When you don't know the direction, keep moving. Now, this is a method that many people may not agree with, but when you are in motion, you can find out if you are making a right direction or a wrong direction. But this can only be possible through what? Through making your decisions. You see, clarity often comes after movement, not before it. You may not know the purpose for your life if you don't start doing something. That is why the Bible negates idleness. If you don't find yourself doing something, you will not even know whether this thing you are doing is you are meant to do it or not. Okay, so again, clarity comes after movement, not before it. So let's quickly talk about I'm really feeling somehow with seeing myself and the voice is lagging. Okay, so let's quickly talk about perfectionism. What is perfectionism? It is not about excellence. There is excellence or being excellent in what you are doing. But perfectionism is actually avoiding exposure. Perfectionism is trying as much as possible to make things look good mentally before making the right decisions. That is perfectionism. Perfectionism wants certainty before action. Perfectionism wants alignment before risk. Perfectionism will always delay starting, wanting everything to be perfect, wanting everything to be to look good. Now, one may look at this and say, oh, maybe this is a good quality, but no. Perfectionism will say, if I don't begin, I can't fail. Right? Yeah. So how does perfectionism disguise itself? Because many a times we misconstrue perfectionism with excellence. So perfectionism would say, let me think more about it. All right, let me think about it more. Right? Perfectionism will say, I need a better structure. Perfectionism will say, I am waiting for the right time. See, let me tell you this thing straight up, that the more important something is to you, the more perfect it feels like it needs to be. Let me say this again, that the more important something is to you, the more perfect it feels like it needs to be. That is when something is very important to you, you always have the feeling that you need a perfect condition to do it. You always feel like you need a perfect system before you start it. So how do you respond to perfectionism? If the battle you are battling in your mind is a battle of perfectionism, how do you respond to it? Perfectionism is not cured by pushing harder. It's not cured by looking for the structure, because if you are looking for the structure, you will always find loopholes in the structure you created. So you will always be in a race to get a better structure. So perfectionism is about, or the way out is about addressing the entry points. It's about lowering the entry points. Lowering, I wouldn't want to say lowering your standard, but if you want to start certain things in your life, instead of you looking for the perfect condition, the perfect timing, lower the entry points. Because it is easier to make certain things better when you are inside it. It is more possible to achieve certain results when you are in the system, when you are en route, when you are in action. But when you begin to overthink certain decisions, when you begin to overthink certain things even before you start, bro, you are going nowhere. So start imperfectly on purpose. Be you said my strategy is just do it. Just do it. You begin to adjust along the way. You begin to see what you need to improve along the way. Of course, there should be a bare minimum of before you start. But as soon as you achieve the bare minimum, just start. Because many a times what you think you need to start, you find out later on that you actually don't need it. I hope you tell somebody to start, right? Number 2, commit to learning, not outcome. I know we are in a society that is outcome driven, all right? But it is important that you commit to learning. You commit to the inputs. And the inputs can only be refined when you give yourself to learning. If there is any structure you need, excuse me, if there is any structure you need at any point in time in your life, is a structure for learning. Learn to learn, or learn to create a structure for learning. So number 3 is to treat action as data, not a verdict. Treat your action as data, as something that should give you information, that as something that will give you verdicts. As something that should give you feedback, not a verdict, not a sentence. If you are supposed to try out something, that action should be seen as something that should give you feedback, whether what you are doing or what that action should be done or not. See, before I go to fear of failure and we begin to tidy things up from here, you don't need to be ready. You just have to be willing. Are you ready? You don't have to be ready. Should I say this? That people that are ready are really start things in life. People are 100% ready, that I have everything now. Most likely that thing will fail. What is actually needed is your willingness, your will. What did they say about when there is a will, there is a, I've forgotten what they said. But your willingness is very important. Your availability is very important. Lastly, let me quickly touch on fear of failure. What is fear of failure? Fear of failure is about what is about disappointment. People are quick to I don't know how best to really put this. People really do not have the good understanding of what failure is. All right, failure is actually we have not really been properly taught about, so let's see, how to manage failure or how to see failure. For many of us, failure is seen as the end of the world. So because failure itself is seen as the end of the world, we fear an action that may lead to failure. Let me say that again. Because we do not have a solid understanding of failure, we end up refusing to take certain actions that has the possibility to fail. And interestingly, every action has the probability of failure. Every action. So we fear disappointment, we fear loss of respect, we fear letting people down. There is so many people that is looking up to you, so we fear letting people down. So we end up not taking action. The truth is that I understand that failure feels heavier when other people depend on you. But how does fear of failure shapes our decision? Number one, we choose to take safe choices over true ones. We choose to play it safe. Number two, we choose to stay where you are competent. You've heard about it that you should stay on your area of strength. But many people don't stay in their area of strength, they stay on their area of known strengths. So when they build an empire on a particular area, they just stay there. Failure shapes our decision when we avoid new territories. See, fear of failure does not stop movement. The interesting thing here is that the system is constantly moving, whether you are making decisions or not. Just like somebody said, he said, change. If you don't change, change will change you. Someone else said that change is the permanent thing. So your fear of failure does not stop your movement. It actually redirects you towards safety. And who knows, change may catch up with what you call safety. So how do you respond to failure? So instead of asking, what if I fail? Ask, what will it cost me to try? So instead of asking, what if I fail? Ask, what will it cost me to never try? What's the worst case scenario here? See, I want you to redefine failure as feedbacks. Just like I said the other time, that every of your action, every of your action is data. It's supposed to give you feedback. They are not verdicts. So it is important to redefine failure as feedback. Decide what you are willing to learn. Anchor identity beyond an outcome. Number one, redefine failure as feedback. Number two, decide what you are willing to learn. And number three, anchor your identity beyond outcome. I read it on identity in our previous conversations. So your identity is beyond your outcome. So don't think that if you fail in a particular thing you want to do, that failure will affect who you are. No. If you understand your identity as success, even failing in a particular action will not change who you are. Let me close with this. Let me bring this to an end. The silent war of the mind is not a weakness. The silent war of the mind is not something to worry yourself about. It happens to people that even say it doesn't happen to them. Right? Actually, it is a sign that you care. It's a sign that you are growing. It's a sign that you are aware. So, the goal is not to silence the mind. The goal is to stop letting it decide alone. Awareness will definitely give you choices. When you are aware of certain things, when you are aware that what you are battling with is perfectionism, when you are aware that what you are battling with is fear of failure, when you are aware that what you are battling with is self-doubt, it gives you choices. But I want you to remember this, that you don't win this war, you win it by clarity. You don't win this war by trying harder. That's why a lot of people enter into depression or every other thing in its category. You win the war of the mind by clarity. Growth begins when you understand what is holding you back. Growth begins when you understand what is holding you back. I hope you're able to learn one or two things from this episode. And next time, we will be talking about another very important topic. We'll be talking about overcoming the inner voice of inadequacy. I really hope you are changing. I really hope you are improving. I myself am also learning as I am doing this. Actually, this is an outlet to help me better see myself. I hope you better see yourself. I hope you use this as a medium to reflect and win the silent war in your mind. Until another time, we'll be meeting again. God bless you. And my name remains Olafisoye Ige. Bye.